Ever met anybody at a party and they have a story that is just amazing? Well, that's our next guest. 2 years ago, Ashley Randele discovered a bombshell truth about her father's past.
And he said, if I tell you, you have to promise you will not look into it.
Tom Randele told her and her mother that he had changed his name decades ago. And on further investigation, she discovered that he was actually Ted Conrad, a man who once stole the equivalent of more than $2 million from a Cleveland bank before disappearing without a trace. Well, she now has a podcast, Smokescreen, My Fugitive Dad, and it explores her father's story. Ashley Randele is joining us live from Boston this morning. Welcome. I cannot wait to learn more.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
Ashley, first take us back to when your father made this confession to you. What was your reaction? And how did you feel finding out there was so much more to your dad than you ever know?
I mean, honestly, at first, I thought it was one of his weird dad jokes because he was definitely a jokester. And that seemed more likely than the fact that my dad had actually changed his name. I very quickly realized that he was not joking, and to say I was shocked is an understatement. I don't think anybody expects to find out that their father's actually a wanted fugitive.
It's a big choice to put your story and your family's story out there publicly. Why did you decide to make the podcast about it?
So when the news broke in the fall of 2021, the U.S. Marshals had found out who my dad really was, without the help of my mom or me. And our world sort of blew up. And very quickly, Tom Randele, the dad I knew, seemed to be disappearing. If you Google my dad's name, Tom Randele, Google actually corrects it now, and it says Theodore J. Conrad. And it's just pages about this crime he committed in 1969. It was very important for me to share my dad's full story. You know, not just the narrative of a 20-year-old kid who loved the Thomas Crown affair and committed a heist, but the man that I knew for 35 years as this incredibly loving, supportive, and devoted dad.
Actually, I identify with your quest because I think I would do the very same. You started this investigation. What did you learn that may have surprised you or may have surprised people who think they know your dad's story?
Yeah, so the general narrative out there right now is that he loved this film and he thought, I'm going to pull off my own heist. And we found out that it really wasn't only about the money. You know, there's this thought that he's been on the run for 52 years. And really, it's that he was running away. He wanted to start over and he wanted to leave his first life behind.
Were you contacted by anybody? Because, I mean, what we haven't talked about yet was that he had another life before he committed this crime and then disappeared. He had a relationship. And have you heard from any of those people?
I've been really lucky to be able to speak to people who knew Ted Conrad. And it's been heartwarming to hear the stories that his friends and ex-girlfriends tell about him and learn that Ted Conrad, the bank robber, and Tom Randele, my dad, are actually pretty similar. So that's been wonderful to learn, that he isn't a completely different person.
Now that this story, and now that the story is public and you have this hit podcast, how has that affected you and your family?
So my mom and I are incredibly close. We actually live next door to each other. So we have each other to lean on. It's definitely crazy. The response to my dad has been wonderful. I am glad that people are getting to learn who my dad was to me, to my mom, to all of his friends. And I'm thrilled that people seem to be enjoying the podcast. It really has been a labor of love, and working on it for this year with Jonathan Hirsch, my amazing co-host. For anybody who has listened to the first episode already, you know how fantastic he is. It's really been a journey trying to find out who my dad was, because I've learned that there's this whole part of him that I never knew existed.
You know, we all have things that we discover about our parents as we get older, but I mean, this is a huge discovery. Ashley Randele, thanks so much for our conversation today. And a reminder for anybody at home who are curious to listen, the podcast is called Smokescreen, My Fugitive Dad. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.